The Fourth Amendment to the Constitution says the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. It goes on to say that if you are to be searched, the government has to get a warrant based on probable cause. And it has to be specific, quote, particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. That's one of my favorites. Who doesn't love the Fourth Amendment? Well, actually today we have some more detail on that. When the Congress last year decided inexplicably to give the Bush administration legal power to do much of the warrantless searching that they had done illegally anyway, one of the minor comforts in that legislation, that FISA reauthorization, for those who mourned the Fourth Amendment, was the fact that the legislation required the inspectors general of the Pentagon, the Department of Justice, the CIA, the NSA, and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence to comprehensively review what the Bush administration did in terms of warrantless wiretapping. That report is in. Today, the public at large got access to the unclassified version of it, and it's sort of a doozy. First, the first legal opinion that tried to pseudo-legally justify the program wasn't issued until weeks after the program started. Second, that legal opinion was issued by the very famous torture memo guy, John Yoo, who appears to have been handpicked to write the legal justification for that program, even as his boss and everyone else in his department was kept in the dark entirely. Third, Attorney General John Ashcroft appears to have signed off on the program for 2.5 years without actually understanding what he was signing off on. The bottom line, we are talking about a very small number of people involved in instituting what appears to be an illegal program without even the barest minimum attempt to make it seem legal. And that small number of people involved includes the president directly, George W. Bush, and the vice president, Richard Cheney. Meanwhile, in day 3 of a fight over what the CIA has disclosed to Congress, Congresswoman Jan Schiakowsky today said that for the first 5 months of his tenure as CIA director, Leon Panetta was himself kept in the dark about a secret CIA program that had also been kept from Congress, which is illegal. When he found out about the program, Mr. Panetta not only stopped it in its tracks, but disclosed it to Congress immediately, and he has now launched an investigation into how the CIA is running programs without telling even its own leadership, let alone the legislative branch that is supposed to oversee the agency. Joining us now is Congresswoman Jan Schiakowsky of Illinois. She chairs the House Intelligence Subcommittee on Oversight and Investigations. Representative Schiakowsky, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Rachel.
CIA Director Leon Panetta has launched an internal probe now at the CIA to determine why Congress wasn't told about this mysterious program that I understand we can't know about in terms of the details because it's classified. You've called for an Intelligence Committee investigation. What do you think it will take to actually get to the bottom of this?
Well, my hope is that on the Intelligence Committee that we're going to take this very seriously. There's really 2 issues involved. One is the underlying substance of the program that we weren't read into, that Congress was not informed about. But the other is the very serious breach of the, I think, breaking the law, the National Security Act of 1947, where they did not tell the Congress. It's very clear that for programs like this, it is the obligation of the intelligence community to inform the United States Congress. So that program started right after 9/11 in 2001, and it was not until June that they told the director of the CIA. That was the first he heard of it, as you said, and the very next, that day he stopped the program, and the next day he came down to tell us about it. Those are the 2 things I think we need to look at.
Do you think that elements of the CIA, or even of the intelligence community more broadly, are deliberately operating outside the chain of command now, that they're deliberately keeping their actions secret? Or do you think that things like this, which you're documenting, what you're saying would be a violation of the National Security Act, do you think that these are oversights, they're inadvertent mistakes?
Absolutely not. We know that there was a decision that was made not to tell the Congress, and so that's one of the things that we have to look into very carefully. Why that decision was made, who made the decision not to inform the Congress. This was no mistake. They did not want us to know about this.
Do you know who made the decision?
We're gonna. I can't talk about the names that were involved, but I think our investigation needs to determine exactly what conversations were had, and who signed off on those decisions.
Okay. The report on the so-called president surveillance program that came out this afternoon, obviously we've only seen the unclassified version of it, and what's in the unclassified version is pretty hair-raising. Are you concerned about what the inspectors general found in that report about warrantless wiretapping and these strange and very limited efforts to make the program seem legal?
Well, what I'm interested in is that it extends beyond the terrorist surveillance program, the TSP, which we did find out about, mostly first through the newspaper, but that there's a presidential surveillance program that goes beyond that, that there are, what I'm looking at the report, other intelligence activities that John Yoo wrote the memo about. You know, they found their guy again, the guy who will say that, well, the president can't be stopped, it's his constitutional right in order to defend the country, he can basically do anything. It was not only the torture memo, but now he was justifying this program. And it is odd, I think, that a deputy assistant attorney general was the only one that at the Office of Legal Counsel that was read into the program at all. His boss, Bybee, said he was surprised, a little disappointed that he hadn't heard about it, that he wasn't consulted on it. And so they obviously, I think, knew that this is the guy that would justify everything. Now, later on, of course, when a closer look was taken, his legal opinion and the contortions that he went to were viewed as inadequate to really justify the continuance of that program. But I'm curious, I haven't seen the classified version yet. What are those other intelligence activities that constitute the president's surveillance program?
Also, of course, I'd love to find out what John Yoo has to say about this. He, of course, refused to talk to the inspectors general for this report, as did David Addington, as did George Tenet, as did John Ashcroft. It seems like there's a lot more to know, Congresswoman.
That's right. There were 200 people who were surveyed, but those important players actually would not participate.
Democratic Congresswoman Jan Schiakowsky of Illinois, thank you very much for your time tonight, and good luck with your continued investigations.
Thank you, Rachel.